There is a book so disturbing, so filled with shocking revelations about fallen angels, human-devouring giants, and forbidden knowledge that it was literally banned from the Bible. Scientists and theologians still debate to this day why this text was hidden for centuries, surviving only in the mountains of Ethiopia. What is written in these ancient pages that was considered too dangerous for the world to know? The answer will shatter everything you thought you knew about angels, demons, and the true origin of evil on earth. In this video, you will discover the real story of the Nephilim, giants as tall as mountains, born from the forbidden union between the Watcher angels and human women. You will understand how these fallen angels, led by Azazel, passed on heavenly knowledge to humanity, unleashing violence, sorcery, and total corruption, which ultimately led God to plan the flood. Even more astonishing, you will meet Enoch, the man who was taken alive into heaven to receive visions of the final apocalypse and to proclaim the divine judgment that is still yet to come. Get ready to uncover why this book was banned, how it secretly influenced early Christianity, and what this ancient story reveals about the world we live in today. If you love ancient mysteries, revelations that challenge everything we were taught, and want to understand the hidden origins of ideas that shaped entire civilizations, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because what you are about to discover will completely change your perspective on the spiritual battle between good and evil, a battle that began long before any of us were born.
Imagine for a moment that you uncover an ancient text hidden away for centuries that tells a story so disturbing it was literally banned from the Bible. We're talking about the book of Enoch, and the account it gives of the Nephilim and the fallen angels is truly chilling. These giants were not simple mythological creatures. They were real beings born from a union that should never have happened. The Watchers, angels sent to observe humanity, did the unthinkable. They descended to earth and fell in love with human women. Think about that. Celestial angels, beings of pure light and power, breaking the most sacred divine law. And the result of this transgression? Creatures that defy all logic. Giants that would make King Kong look like a household pet. This is not just a story of forbidden love. It is the beginning of a catastrophe that would change the fate of humanity forever. And make no mistake, this is only the beginning of what this book reveals. The Nephilim were so large that, according to the text, some of them reached the height of mountains. Yes, you read that right. Mountains. Imagine walking along peacefully and suddenly seeing a being the size of 3 or 4 pyramids of Giza stacked on top of one another. Researchers who study apocryphal texts estimate that these creatures could have been between 100 and 300 meters tall, based on the original descriptions in Aramaic and Ethiopic. Now think about the logistics of that. A being of that size would need to consume tons of food every single day. And that is exactly what the book of Enoch describes. These giants did not just hunt animals. They literally devoured entire herds, destroyed crops, and when food ran out, they turned against humans themselves. Their hunger was insatiable, as if they carried a void that could never be filled. The forbidden knowledge their parents, the Watchers, brought down from heaven did not include how to feed these abominations. And the more they grew, the more destructive they became. But wait, there is something even more disturbing in this entire story. The Watchers did not fall by accident. It was a deliberate choice. The book mentions that 200 of these angels gathered on Mount Hermon, on the border between Israel and Syria, and made a pact. They swore to one another that they would descend together and take human wives, fully aware of the consequences. Their leader, an angel named Azazel, who convinced the others by saying something along the lines of, "I know this will end badly, but if we all go together, we share the blame." It almost sounds like organized celestial crime. Studies from the University of Oxford on Jewish apocalyptic literature suggest that this narrative reflects a deep human fear, that even the most exalted beings can become corrupted. And here's the irony. The beings created to watch over humanity became its very destroyers. Azazel, another of the most powerful Watchers, played a special role in all of this But hold on, we're getting to him. The catastrophe caused by the Nephilim on Earth went far beyond physical destruction. They did not just kill and devour, they corrupted. Imagine a child growing up in a world where giants walked the land, crushing entire cities without even noticing. The psychological trauma, the constant fear, the impossibility of ever feeling safe. The Book of Enoch describes human blood flowing like rivers, and the cries of the victims rising to the heavens, disturbing God himself. Think about that. For an omnipotent being to be disturbed, the situation had to be completely out of control. And the worst part? The Nephilim had no awareness of the evil they were committing. To them, humans were just food, the way ants are to us. This total lack of empathy, this complete dehumanization, or perhaps denephilimization, is what made everything even more terrifying. And all the while, the Watchers who created them watched the destruction unfold, trapped between regret and the inability to undo what they had done. Now you might be wondering, how could something like this happen? How could celestial beings, supposedly perfect, make such a catastrophic mistake? The answer lies in the very nature of free will and desire. The Watchers saw the beauty of human women and, for the first time, experienced something unknown in heaven. Carnal desire, passion, the urge to possess something beyond pure spirituality. It is almost as if they discovered a new dimension of existence and could not resist it. Theologians from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem argue that this story serves as a powerful metaphor about the dangers of crossing boundaries that were never meant to be crossed, of seeking knowledge and experiences beyond what was intended for us. And this is not just an ancient lesson. How often today do we see individuals, corporations, even entire nations making the same mistakes, craving too much power, too much control, while ignoring warning signs? The Nephilim were the physical result of a spiritual transgression, and the consequences? Well, we are about to discover that the price was far higher than anyone could have imagined. So, you thought the problem was just the giants destroying everything? Think again. The story becomes far more complex and fascinating. The Watchers did not only give birth to Nephilim, they did something that may have been even more dangerous. They handed forbidden knowledge to humanity. Imagine receiving, from celestial beings who existed before the creation of the world, secrets that were never meant to be within human reach. Azazel, one of the leaders of these fallen angels, was the first to break this sacred rule. He taught humans how to forge swords, knives, shields, and armor. Before that, human conflicts were settled with stones, sticks, maybe a stone axe here and there. Suddenly, everything changed. Advanced metallurgy, bronze and iron weapons that could cut through flesh like butter. Archaeological studies show an unexplained technological leap in certain ancient civilizations. Was it really just coincidence? Azazel's knowledge did not bring only progress. It also brought the ability to kill far more efficiently. And when humans learn how to kill better, well, history shows us exactly what happens. But Azazel was not alone in revealing heavenly secrets. Other Watchers also chose to share their specialized knowledge, each within their own area of expertise. Amezrak taught sorcery and spells. Barakel revealed the secrets of astrology. Kokabel explained the signs of the stars and the constellations. Tamuel taught astronomy. And Esrattle revealed the phases of the moon. Think about this for a moment. Overnight, primitive humanity gained access to knowledge that would have taken thousands of years to develop naturally. It is like handing a smartphone to someone from the Stone Age. The person may hold the object, but will they truly understand its implications? Researchers at the University of Cambridge who study apocryphal texts suggest that this narrative reflects an ancient fear of progress that moves too fast, of knowledge without wisdom. And honestly, when we look at today's world with artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and nuclear weapons, that concern feels strikingly relevant. The apocalypse described in Enoch does not seem so distant when we consider the destructive power we now possess. Now comes the part that specialists tend to hide, or at least do not talk about very much. The forbidden knowledge was not only technological or scientific. The Watchers taught practices that tamper with the very fabric of spiritual reality. They revealed how to make amulets, how to summon spirits, how to manipulate invisible forces to gain power, wealth, or revenge. Human women, according to the Book of Enoch, learned about cosmetics, jewelry, precious stones, and ways to enhance their appearance that they had never imagined before. It may sound harmless, But think about the context. For the first time in history, humans had tools to manipulate appearances and perceptions. Vanity became a force. Seduction turned into a weapon, and the desire for material beauty began to compete with spiritual values. Theologians from Ethiopian tradition, where this book survived through the centuries, argue that this was the moment humanity lost its original innocence. It was not just about biting an apple in Eden. It was a full download of knowledge that transformed simple people into complex, ambitious, and often cruel beings. But wait, there is something even more disturbing in this whole story about forbidden knowledge. The text of Enoch makes it clear that this knowledge came with a terrible price. It accelerated the corruption of humanity exponentially. Before the Watchers, humans lived more simply, with smaller conflicts and more manageable problems. After that, violence exploded. Wars became bloodier, greed multiplied, and society began to collapse under the weight of its own ambitions. It is as if the fallen angels handed people a Formula One car without teaching them how to drive. Of course it was going to crash. Recent research by anthropologists studying flood myths across different cultures reveals an interesting pattern. Almost all these stories mention a period of extreme moral corruption before the catastrophe. In Mesopotamia, in ancient Mexico, in India, there's always this narrative that humanity went too far and had to be reset. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe all these cultures were telling the same story from different angles, preserving the memory of when the Watchers gave humanity more than it was ready to handle. The most fascinating and terrifying part of all this is that forbidden knowledge could not simply be erased. Once revealed, it spread like fire. Imagine trying to unlearn how to make a sword after you already know how. Impossible, right? The Watchers knew this. They were condemning future generations to carry the burden of knowledge without wisdom. And here's the irony. Today, we live in an age where information is just one click away. You can learn how to do almost anything by watching a video on YouTube, from baking a cake to building dangerous devices. Are we not living a modern version of the same situation? Are we not, in some way, like those ancient humans receiving knowledge before we are ready for the consequences? The difference is at this time, we have no Watchers to blame. We are the ones creating and sharing this knowledge. And the coming flood, if it comes at all, will not be made of water, but perhaps of information, of technology out of control, of consequences we do not yet fully understand. And that is exactly why understanding what happened with the Watchers and their forbidden knowledge has never been more relevant. And this is where a seemingly ordinary man enters the story. A human just like us, named Enoch. But wait, was he really ordinary? The book of Enoch describes something absolutely cinematic. This man was literally taken up to heaven while still alive, carried beyond the stars to have an audience with God himself. Imagine the scene. You're going about your normal routine, taking care of your family, living your life, and suddenly angels appear and say, "You need to come with us now." Not to die, not to stay behind, to ascend to the heavens while still breathing. Scholars from the University of Notre Dame who study Jewish apocalyptic literature point out that Enoch is one of the few biblical figures who did not experience physical death, being transported directly into the heavenly realm. And he was not taken there for sightseeing or a celestial vacation. He had a mission, and what a mission it was. He would become the messenger between God and the fallen Watchers, carrying news no one would want to hear. Think about the pressure, you, a mere mortal, having to look powerful angels in the eye and say, "Guys, you're done." When Enoch arrived in heaven, the first thing he saw was something that defies any human description. The original text speaks of crystal palaces, rivers of fire, creatures with multiple eyes and wings, and the throne of God radiating light brighter than 1,000 suns. It was as if he had entered a dimension where the laws of physics, as we know them, simply did not apply. And there, in that impossible place, God gave Enoch a complete vision of what was happening on earth. He saw the Nephilim destroying cities, saw innocent blood being spilled, saw the total corruption of humanity caused by the forbidden knowledge of the Watchers. But the most shocking part? God showed him the future. And that future included a flood that would wash over the entire earth, destroying not only the giants, but nearly all life on the planet. Studies in climatology and geology show evidence of catastrophic floods at various points in human history, some so massive they reshaped entire landscapes. Coincidence? Perhaps. Or perhaps these are the scars left behind by the event Enoch witnessed in his vision. And this was not even the most terrifying part of the message he had to deliver. Enoch then descended back to earth. Imagine the spiritual jet lag, and went straight to confront the Watchers. The scene is chilling. A fragile, mortal human standing face to face with fallen angels, beings who could have disintegrated him with a single thought. But he carried divine authority, the direct word of God, and that made him untouchable. The judgment was clear and brutal. The Watchers would be bound in darkness until the day of the final apocalypse, when they would be completely destroyed. Their children, the Nephilim, would be wiped out in the coming flood. And here comes something scholars still debate today. The text says that the spirits of the dead Nephilim will become demons, condemned to wander the earth forever, tormenting humanity. Think about that. According to this narrative, all spiritual evil in the world, every possession, every demonic influence, traces its origin directly to the dead giants. Theologians from the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, where this book is considered sacred, take this very seriously. For them, it is not metaphor. It is real history, a record of events that shaped the entire spiritual battle humanity is still living today. And Azazel, he received a special punishment, bound and cast into a desert of jagged stones, where he will remain until final judgment. But wait! There is a twist that changes everything. The judgment was not only about punishment. Enoch received revelations about a greater plan, a future apocalypse that would make the flood seem like just the opening act of a much larger story. God showed him visions of a son of man who would come in the distant future to judge not only the fallen angels, but all of humanity. This son of man, a figure later associated with the Messiah in Christianity, would bring a final, absolute judgment where evil will be completely eradicated from creation. Enoch's mission was not only to announce the coming destruction, but also to record these visions for future generations. That is why he wrote everything down, every detail, every revelation, creating one of the most controversial and fascinating texts of antiquity. Scholars from the University of Oxford estimate that parts of the Book of Enoch deeply influenced the development of Jewish apocalyptic thought, and later, Christian theology. Concepts such as fallen angels, demons, final judgment, and resurrection. Many ideas we consider Christian actually come straight from Enoch's visions. But here's the problem. If these revelations were so important, why was the book banned? Why was Ethiopia the only place to preserve this knowledge? The answer lies in the very nature of Enoch's message. The divine judgment he proclaimed was not directed only at the Watchers. It was a verdict against every form of corruption, every abuse of power, every structure that oppresses the innocent. Imagine tyrannical rulers reading this text and realizing that, according to Enoch, they stand on the wrong side of cosmic history. Imagine corrupt religious leaders discovering that divine judgment reaches not only demons, but also humans who use power to do harm. The book is radical, revolutionary, and deeply unsettling. It declares that no one escapes, neither angels nor giants, nor kings nor priests. Everyone will answer for their actions on the day of the final apocalypse. Contemporary theologians argue that this is precisely why the text was eventually excluded from the biblical canon in many regions. It was too dangerous, too challenging to power structures, too hopeful for the oppressed, and too frightening for the oppressors. But in Ethiopia, perhaps because of its geographic and cultural isolation, the church preserved the complete text. And when it was rediscovered by the Western world, it was like opening a time capsule that revealed a much more apocalyptic, far more radical form of early Christianity, one deeply focused on cosmic justice rather than institutional comfort. And this message of inevitable judgment, of divine accountability, resonates today more than ever in a world where so many seem to escape the consequences of their actions. Now let's travel back in time and understand why anyone would write such a heavy text, so saturated with divine judgment and cosmic destruction. The Book of Enoch was not written in a vacuum. It emerged during one of the most tense and desperate periods in Jewish history. We are talking about the time between the 3rd century BCE and the 1st century CE, when the Jewish people lived under foreign domination, first by the Greeks and later by the Romans. Imagine living under the rule of empires that did not respect your culture, your religion, or your traditions. The Greeks, especially under Antiochus IV Epiphanes, went so far as to desecrate the temple in Jerusalem, ban Jewish practices, and force the worship of pagan gods. Historians from Tel Aviv University who study this period describe a profound existential crisis. The people chosen by God were being humiliated, oppressed, and slaughtered. Where was divine protection? Where was the promised justice? And it is precisely in this cauldron of suffering, doubt, and resistance that texts like the Book of Enoch begin to make sense. When present reality becomes unbearable, you need a larger story, a hope that transcends the here and now. And this book delivered exactly that. The brilliance of the Book of Enoch lies in how it connects present suffering to a much greater cosmic narrative. The fallen watchers, they are perfect metaphors for oppressive rulers. The giant Nephilim destroying everything, they represent foreign empires crushing the Jewish people. The forbidden knowledge that corrupts, it symbolizes Greek cultural influence diluting Jewish traditions. It is no coincidence that the text speaks so insistently about imminent divine judgment. The people needed to believe that their oppressors would not go unpunished. Scholars from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem point out that Jewish apocalyptic literature from this period functioned as a form of psychological and spiritual resistance. When you cannot take up arms against an empire, when military rebellion means collective suicide, you pick up a pen, or in their case, papyrus, and write a story in which God intervenes, justice prevails, the wicked are punished, and the righteous are rewarded. The apocalypse described by Enoch was not merely about the end of the world. It was about the end of an unjust world and the birth of a just one. It was hope weaponized in the form of sacred text. And remarkably, this strategy worked so well that it shaped Jewish and Christian thought for millennia. But there is something even more fascinating in all of this. The Book of Enoch popularized ideas that we now consider fundamental to Judaism and Christianity, yet were revolutionary at the time. Concepts such as the resurrection of the dead, individual final judgment, heavenly rewards for the righteous, and eternal punishment for the wicked all gain momentum through apocalyptic texts like this one. Earlier Jewish tradition focused more on collective reward and punishment in the present life, but the suffering of the righteous under Greek domination created a theological problem. Why do good people suffer while tyrants prosper? The apocalyptic answer was simple and powerful. Just wait for the apocalypse. There, everyone receives exactly what they deserve. Studies by theologians at the University of Cambridge show that this shift in worldview was essential for the development of early Christianity, which inherited and expanded these ideas. Jesus speaking about the kingdom of heaven, Paul discussing resurrection, the book of Revelation with its visions, all draw from the well of apocalyptic thought that Enoch helped popularize. And in Ethiopia, where the book was preserved as canonical scripture, these ideas were never forgotten or softened. They kept alive a flame that much of the Christian world allowed to fade for centuries. Now think about the irony of all this. A text written to give hope to the oppressed ended up being considered too dangerous for the power structures that eventually emerged. When Christianity stopped being a persecuted religion and became the official religion of the Roman Empire, radically apocalyptic texts like the Book of Enoch became a problem. After all, how do you justify alliances with political power when your sacred text declares that all corrupt rulers will be destroyed in divine judgment? How do you build a wealthy, powerful institutional church when your sacred book condemns the accumulation of wealth and the forbidden knowledge passed down by the watchers? Historians of religion argue that Enoch's exclusion from the biblical canon was not accidental. It was strategic. The book was too radical, too apocalyptic, too anti-establishment. It placed all human power under suspicion and all authority under future divine judgment. And this is not a conspiracy theory. It is simply recognizing that sacred texts are selected by people with agendas, interests, and specific historical contexts. What survived in the official biblical canon reflects not only divine inspiration, but also very human decisions about what was convenient to preserve. And the Book of Enoch, with its incendiary message, did not make the cut almost anywhere, except in distant Ethiopia, protected by mountains and distance from European theological disputes. And here's something no one really talks about. The apocalyptic mindset that Enoch helped shape never truly disappeared. It simply changed form. Every generation that faces existential crisis, oppression, or chaos ends up reviving these ideas. During the Black Death in medieval Europe, apocalyptic movements exploded. During the world wars of the 20th century, predictions about the end of times multiplied. And today, we live in an era where climate change, pandemics, wars, economic collapse, and technology spinning out of control create a constant feeling that we are standing on the edge of something catastrophic. Are we not, in some way, reliving the same conditions that gave birth to the Book of Enoch? People searching for meaning in chaos, hope in darkness, justice in an unjust world. Sociologists of religion at Harvard University document a global resurgence of apocalyptic thinking, not only religious, but also secular. From survivalist preppers obsessed with the end of civilization to environmental movements predicting societal collapse. The archetype is the same. The present world is broken beyond repair, and only a radical intervention can save it. Enoch would have felt right at home in our era, and perhaps that is exactly why his book, banned for centuries, is being rediscovered and read by millions today. Its message still resonates because human suffering, injustice, and a longing for a cosmic reckoning remain just as relevant as they were 2,000 years ago. And who knows, maybe the flood he foresaw was not only water, but a transformation so radical to human civilization that, for those living through it, it would feel exactly like the end of one world and the birth of another. And here we arrive at the question everyone asks. If the Book of Enoch is so important, so influential, so full of explosive revelations, why on earth was it banned from the Bible? The answer is far more complex and fascinating than you might expect. Let's start with the obvious. The content is extreme. We are talking about angels having sex with human women, giants devouring people, forbidden knowledge being passed from heaven to earth, demons being the spirits of dead Nephilim. For the religious leaders who were defining the biblical canon around the 3rd and 4th century CE, this sounded dangerous, almost heretical. Scholars at the University of Oxford who studied the formation of the biblical canon explained that there were strict criteria, proven apostolic or prophetic authorship, wide acceptance among Christian communities, and alignment with emerging church doctrine. The Book of Enoch failed at least 2 of these tests. First, the authorship was questionable. Did Enoch, who lived before the flood, really write this? Second, the material about the Watchers and the Nephilim was too specific, too graphic, and did not align neatly with the more streamlined narratives being standardized at the time. So out it went. But hold on, there is much more to the story. A verdade é que o livro de Enoch não foi banido em todo lugar ao mesmo tempo. Durante séculos, ele foi amplamente lido e respeitado no cristianismo primitivo. Os apóstolos conheciam o texto, as citações diretas dele no Novo Testamento, especialmente na Epístola de Judas, que menciona explicitamente profecias de Enoch. Pais da igreja como Tertuliano, Justino Mártir e Clemente de Alexandria o citavam como escritura válida. O problema começou quando a igreja se institucionalizou, se aliou ao poder político romano e precisou de uma mensagem mais controlada, mais palatável para massas e imperadores. Um texto que fala de anjos caídos corrompendo a humanidade, de julgamento divino contra todos os poderosos, de um apocalipse inevitável onde estruturas de poder seriam destruídas. Isso não combina bem com uma igreja que está virando religião de Estado. Historiadores da religião da Universidade de Cambridge documentam como textos apocalípticos radicais foram gradualmente marginalizados à medida que o cristianismo se tornava mais institucional e menos revolucionário. O livro de Enoch era radical demais, perigoso demais, incontrolável demais. Ele dava às pessoas comuns acesso ao conhecimento cósmico sem precisar de mediação sacerdotal. Ele prometia justiça divina direta, sem necessidade de hierarquias religiosas. Isso é poder demais nas mãos do povo. Então, lentamente, foi sendo empurrado para as margens, depois para fora do cânon, até quase desaparecer completamente no Ocidente. Mas aqui está o plot twist que muda tudo. Enquanto o Ocidente rejeitava o livro de Enoch, a Etiópia o abraçava com força total. A Igreja Ortodoxa Etíope não apenas preservou o texto, ela o canonizou como escritura sagrada, parte integral da Bíblia etíope até hoje. Por quê? Isolamento geográfico ajudou. As montanhas da Etiópia criaram uma barreira natural contra invasões e influências externas, permitindo que tradições únicas se desenvolvessem sem interferência de Roma ou Constantinopla. Mas há algo mais profundo. A Igreja Etíope manteve uma conexão com o judaísmo antigo muito mais forte do que outras tradições cristãs. Eles praticam circuncisão, observam restrições alimentares similares às judaicas e mantêm uma tradição que remonta, segundo eles próprios, à rainha de Sabá e ao rei Salomão. Para eles, o livro de Enoque nunca foi controverso, era simplesmente parte do pacote completo de escrituras que receberam e preservaram. Antropólogos culturais que estudam a Etiópia apontam que o país desenvolveu uma identidade cristã única, misturando elementos judaicos, africanos nativos e cristãos de forma singular. E nessa mistura, Enoque não era um estranho, era família. O livro explica os Nefilim mencionados brevemente em Gênesis, contextualiza o dilúvio, fornece background para conceitos apocalípticos do Novo Testamento. Para os etíopes, excluir Enoque seria como tentar entender uma história pulando capítulos cruciais. E então, em 1773, aconteceu algo que mudaria tudo. Um explorador escocês chamado James Bruce viajou pela Etiópia. Entre os tesouros que trouxe de volta para a Europa, estava uma cópia completa do livro de Enoque em Gese, a antiga língua etíope. Imagine o choque no mundo acadêmico e religioso europeu. Um texto que eles achavam perdido para sempre, mencionado por escritores antigos mas nunca visto, de repente reaparece completo, preservado por séculos numa igreja africana que ninguém levava muito a sério. Foi como encontrar o santo graal da literatura apocalíptica. Estudos da Universidade de Edimburgo, onde Bruce depositou o manuscrito, mostram que levou décadas para o texto ser totalmente traduzido e compreendido. Quando finalmente foi publicado em inglês no século XIX, causou sensação. Estudiosos da Bíblia perceberam que muitas ideias no Novo Testamento que pareciam originais eram na verdade derivadas de Enoque. O conceito de filho do homem usado por Jesus está em Enoque. A descrição do julgamento final, Enoque. A natureza dos anjos caídos e demônios, Enoque, Enoque, Enoque. Era como descobrir o código-fonte por trás de grande parte da teologia cristã primitiva. E a questão voltou com força. Se esse texto foi tão influente, por que foi banido? A resposta incômoda era clara. Porque era poderoso demais, perturbador demais, incontrolável demais para instituições que precisavam de ordem e conformidade. Hoje, o livro de Enoque vive uma espécie de renascimento. Milhões de pessoas ao redor do mundo estão lendo, estudando e debatendo esse texto antigo que sobreviveu contra todas as probabilidades. A internet democratizou o acesso. Você pode baixar traduções completas com um clique. Canais do YouTube analisam cada capítulo. Podcasts debatem suas implicações. Grupos de estudo online se formam diariamente. E sabe que é fascinante? As mesmas razões pelas quais ele foi banido são as razões pelas quais ele está ressurgindo. Vivemos numa era de desconfiança institucional, onde pessoas questionam narrativas oficiais e buscam conhecimento proibido nas margens da cultura. O livro de Enoque, literalmente um texto sobre conhecimento proibido passado pelos vigilantes, se tornou símbolo perfeito dessa busca. Teólogos contemporâneos argumentam que talvez seja a hora de reconsiderar o cânon, de reintegrar textos como Enoque que claramente moldaram o pensamento cristão primitivo. Mas a resistência sempre há. Instituições religiosas não gostam de mudanças que questionam suas fundações. Mas o gênio já saiu da lâmpada. O livro banido está de volta. E com ele, todas as perguntas perturbadoras que ele levanta sobre anjos caídos, gigantes, conhecimento proibido, julgamento divino e o apocalipse que pode estar mais próximo do que imaginamos. A Etiópia guardou esse segredo por séculos, preservou essa chama quando o resto do mundo tentou apagá-la. E agora, o mundo inteiro está descobrindo que os etíopes sempre souberam. A história dos Nefilins, dos vigilantes e do julgamento de Enoque não é apenas um conto antigo, é uma advertência, uma profecia e talvez, apenas talvez, um mapa do que ainda está por vir. So, did you already know this entire story about the Nephilim, the Watchers, and the banned Book of Enoch? Did you know that giants the size of mountains once walked the earth, born from forbidden union between fallen angels and human women? Had you heard that Azazel and other Watchers passed forbidden knowledge on to humanity? Metallurgy, sorcery, astrology, knowledge that brought both civilization and total destruction? And that Enoch, a simple human being, was taken alive into heaven to receive visions of the Apocalypse and proclaim divine judgment against angels, giants, and every form of corruption? That this explosive text, which deeply influenced early Christianity, was banned from the Bible for being too radical, surviving only in the mountains of Ethiopia for centuries until it was rediscovered in 1773? Now tell me, what do you think about all of this? Did Nephilim truly exist, or are they powerful metaphors for corruption and the abuse of power? Does the forbidden knowledge of the Watchers have parallels with the technological and ethical dilemmas we face today? And most importantly, are we living in the final times Enoch prophesied, when divine judgment will come to completely eradicate evil? Leave your theory in the comments. I really want to know what went through your mind after discovering all of this. If this story blew your mind, showing a side of the Bible and ancient history that no one ever told you about, go ahead and hit that like button down below. And if it already seems hard to believe that giants and fallen angels shaped our civilization, just wait until you see the next video. How did people live before the flood? The truth about 5,000 years ago, a different planet. There, you'll discover what life on Earth was really like before the cosmic reset that changed everything, and why that civilization was both incredibly advanced and utterly doomed. Click the card and continue this journey with me. Thank you so much for staying until the end. Truly, this knowledge about Enoch, the Nephilim, and the Watchers is dense, intense, and often uncomfortable, but that is exactly why it is worth discovering. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the upcoming videos, where we'll dive even deeper into these ancient mysteries that rewrite everything we thought we knew. Until next time, and may you never stop questioning, seeking, and discovering.